just talking about bada boom, bada bing. And then here it is.
All right.
You guys, welcome to our podcast, the session,
There we go.
episode 3, which is crazy because I feel like we just started talking about doing this, and then here we are.
Yep.
But this is where psychology meets real life, and that's what we want to try to bring is bring it constantly. Um, we're here for you guys at 8 p.m. because we know a lot of you guys could lay down and watch us on your phone before you go to sleep. And it's gonna be some goodness. And so, man, Fit, what's been going on? You look good, by the
Everything
way.
good.
Look good.
Mm,
Yeah, you
I
look
try.
good. I love it.
I'm just trying to keep my head above water,
That's what
right?
I see. It looks like you
I
doing
gotta
more
do. I'm just trying to do the best I can with what I was given,
than
right?
that. And you
Um,
are doing it, man. You are doing it.
I'm very excited. It feels that there is just a new energy, right? And the newness, you're right, that we just started doing these podcasts. We just started doing these shows.
Hmm.
And we've known each other for so long. We've had so many conversations before, and we picked it up and we started to do it right now, and we thought we should have did this a long time ago, but as we were discussing, it's all in the divine timing. It's the right timing of right now. And so for me,
Yeah.
I'm very excited about everything that's happening right now. There's just so much coming to light. It is the time of truth and what we do with the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to today's episode. What do we have in store?
Man, why we repeat the same relationship struggles over and over again. I know we're going to get into it really deep. Um, but, I think before we get into that, for sure, we want to be able to cover a question that we got um, from a DMer. Do you have any questions too? I didn't even check with you. Maybe we should cover one because we didn't leave a lot of time with it. But if you come up with one that's really important, I guess they're all important. But if you come up with one, or if you have one that anybody DM'd you, maybe we can get it fitted in. But for sure, I have this one that I want to make sure that we cover too. Um, and let me tell you something real quick about what happened the other day. And this is how you know that we're getting older and we're really experiencing life. So I'm leaving my son's football practice, and it was a pizza party that they had after football, and I'm looking all over for my glasses. I bought these $20 glasses that look sharp, and I don't want to lose them.
Oh,
And so I'm looking all over the place for these glasses, and I'm like, man, I left them at the thing. So I call the coaches that were still there, and I was like, you guys, did anybody see my glasses? And they're like, no, they're not on the table. And I knew exactly where I put them on the table. And I'm looking for those things and looking in my car, everywhere, right? And I'm like, okay, let me turn around. So I turn around, and they're trying to look for them for me, but we're still on speakerphone. And they said, hey, one of the guys, his name is Pal. He's like, Pal said that he saw him on your hat whenever you left. So I touched my hat, and they're sitting. Fit. I'm losing it sometimes, and so uh, it's what it is. So everybody's kind of, we. If anybody has moments like that, it's what it is. It's the age sometimes, and we do what we can do with life and kind of make the best of it. But I just know, like, that's the worst feeling. Have you ever lost things like that and or am I the only one?
well, you want to ask me today?
Yeah.
If I lost something today, reframe the question. So with sunglasses, I did the same thing, and it's usually right after you get them too, is when
Right,
you break them or when you lose them.
right,
You
right,
know,
right. Mhm, mhm.
last one I did that was had a pair of Ray-Bans I just bought
Oh,
maybe a couple of weeks, had a couple of weeks,
mm.
took my daughters to medieval times, left them there. But
Oh, man.
don't get
And
me started.
medieval times is not the place to lose things 'cause it's all dark in there. It's hard to find. You never get them
Mhm.
back from there. All right, well, let's hit
But I
some mailbag stuff real quick. You want to take a question? And I'll let you go first on this question here since I'm the one who
well
received.
this yeah, I have a question
Mhm.
And this is so important and right up your alley too.
Okay.
And so I'm glad that we can ask you because it has to do with breaking the cycle,
Okay.
right? And so, I have my perspective on this,
Okay.
right, in breaking cycles,
Mhm.
but more specifically, like cycles with family,
Mhm.
right? And how do we break cycles of shame, from the generational cycles? So, for example, when someone has infidelity in their marriage,
Yeah.
and a lot of times their mom and dad had infidelity in their marriage,
Right.
right? And so recognizing cycles like those, cycles of shame and things that have happened in the family. And so, how does one go about breaking those generational cycles?
Yeah, it's so difficult. And what's interesting about a lot of times when mom and dad had it, or previous older people in our families had it, our parents, grandparents, a lot of times we don't know even that that happened till like later on, right? And so when I'm working with people, like they don't even know until later on, maybe whenever they find out in their own relationships or whatever. So that's an interesting thing. So here's what I'll tell you that it tells us about um, things specifically. I guess I kind of put it in the same umbrella. This conversation for a different day, but I see it more like an addiction type scenario. And so the reason why I say that is because um, I don't. I think cheating is a resolution to an actual problem. And I think as parents, what we do pass to our children is how to deal or how to not deal. And we don't do that through like what we do. So you don't need to tell your children, hey, go cheat. We tell them through how we deal with what is difficult in our lives. And so a lot of times whenever things are getting passed, it's not like it's a hereditary cheating gene or necessarily a hereditary drinking gene, even though there are some things that are hereditary about those addiction pieces. Overall, it's how we're dealing with and then showing to our children what it is that we're doing. And so those patterns get passed down because of the way that we end up dealing with those things and either showing or not showing our children. And so to be clear on this and give an example, um, if my child is having a hard time, and let's say that my child is in seventh grade right now, and he brings hard emotions to me, and I've never learned how to deal with hard emotions, my response will change how he'll interact with the world later, right? Is he going to be callous because I'm not able to deal with those kinds of things, and because I'm not able to, he learns like, okay, that's the way to be? Or will his makeup say, actually, I never want to be like that, and so instead I'm the opposite of that, right? And so no matter what, like we have an effect on how our children experience things, and mostly because of the behaviors that we do when we're going through those hard moments. So I think that's really important, is that like the avenues towards dealing with loneliness, dealing with hurt, dealing with thoughts that aren't good, like whatever it is, there are avenues to dealing with those things are really important because we pass pain all the time. We pass shame all the time. And at some rate, and this is a huge deal to me, like as a parent myself, at some rate, like we've got to figure our stuff out. Because if not, like we might think, oh, I went through it and I'm good. I'm be all right. Yeah, but everything you're doing is contributing to what your children are facing now. You might not think that they're it's contributing, and maybe they don't even think it because they're doing the best they can with life and we did the best we could. But there's so much more that we can keep pursuing to get better at. And so a lot of times as parents, I think we're not dealing with our stuff, and so we keep passing the pain and shame and the hurt and all the things. And now by the time it gets to our grandchildren, they're holding up all this heaviness that they didn't even start with. It's I passed mine, my children passed theirs, and now my grandchildren have it, right? So it's so important that we deal. Somebody needs to deal, right? Like if you're in that moment of like, look, my parents passed pain to me and they didn't necessarily do it right. Well, now it's up to me to undo that burden and to redo it so that things can go well for myself and for the other people who are coming after me, right? My belief is that it's the insertion of the of scripture and God, like as a responsibility. I feel like that would be the game changer, but it's not for everybody. And so whatever yours is, make sure you do it. The biggest thing is deal with your own pain and grow yourself out of that so that you can actually function and pass good functioning on to your children. If not, then you struggle. And so they struggle because of it. So they're taking their own human struggle and they're dealing with their parents' human struggle, right? So that's a long answer to the idea that, like, the reason that there's repetitiveness in generation to generation is it's a way of dealing without even asking questions a lot of times, right? There's a story about how grandma put a turkey in the oven and she split it in half, and the people said, like, why do you put the turkey in the oven like that? How'd you learn that? It's so tasty, right? The grandbaby did, and she, because it was her turn to cook it, and she was like, oh honey, like, it's not we split the oven or the turkey in half because our oven was too small for it, right? And so all this
Yep.
time the family's thinking that that's the way to do it, but the truth is, like, we were doing the best that we could with whatever we had at that moment. And without discussing that, without having that conversation, we just keep splitting the turkeys in half, right? And it's up
Right.
to us to figure out, like, what's really going on and what happened to make them function that way, and how do I do it different now, right? Is this really the best way to do things? Do I need to keep splitting the turkey in half, right? Like, now from now on, that's going to be our saying fit. Like, man, you keep splitting turkeys in half. Like, you don't got to do that anymore, right? That's the difference maker now, is for us to be able to acknowledge, like, what's going on, see that it was a way of functioning. We don't need to judge it. That's not important to judge our people who were in front of us. They really, really were. We are, and so did they do the best that they could do with whatever they had. We don't need to judge them. We just need to be able to know that's not the most efficient thing to do today for ourselves and the people who were bringing up behind us, right? So yeah, I think that now I think I know, like, that's kind of how it gets passed, over and over again.
Yeah, definitely, man. Uh, I think you came straight for the barbecue, man. You're on fire tonight.
I'm on
All
fire.
right, we gotta, we're feeling the fire tonight. I like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this
And
question. Oh, go ahead. You follow up.
no, I love questions.
Okay.
They need
Yeah.
answers.
So here's the DM. My partner and I always fight about the same thing. It never changes. Why?
Because there's never a solution. Okay, so this is a big thing that I teach to my couples
Mhm.
in communication. Okay, so there is understand, validate, resolve. And the resolve, all of those are important, right? But resolving conversations is how the conversation should be, even if the overall solution hasn't been created by the end of that conversation. There can at least be what the next step is going to be from here, what we're
Mhm.
going to do about it from here, or at least you understand where I'm coming from and I understand where you're coming from,
Right.
right? So coming to understandings. And so it's a failure to understand each other because we're stuck in our own perception, our own interpretations. We continue to take what our partner tells us and create our own story of what it means and then go with that without taking the time to say, okay, what you told me makes me feel like this and it makes me think that. I know that may not be the case,
Mhm.
and so talk to me. I'm letting you know this is just how I feel, but you let me know. What do you think? What, right? And then
Right.
working through those things together. But again, you can't you can't come to the solution if you can't you feel like your partner doesn't even understand the problem.
Mhm.
Like your partner's telling you, yes, this and this and that. And then you're like, it's not even about that. They're like, yeah, but you're mad about that. You're like, yes, I'm mad that you did that, but it's not even about that. You still don't even understand what this is really about. That's
Right.
what I'm mad about. Do you know what
Yeah.
this is about? And they're like, right? And so then that alone creates, you don't understand me, and maybe you will never understand me.
Right.
And so imagine I can't be with someone who doesn't understand me. You
Mhm.
don't understand me, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens? Like that's what opens the door. Again, the door is open right there. Someone's emotionally vulnerable, getting into arguments with their partner, and then they feel like they don't understand them. And then all of a sudden, someone else comes into their picture, into their life. And oh, talk to me. Oh, I'm not judging you. I'm just accepting you. Hey, and agreeing with everything you have to say, making you feel accepted, making you feel supported, making you feel understood,
Mhm.
right? And so just that alone is just, the understanding is just so very important alone.
Yeah.
And we fail to resolve our conversations because we fail to understand each other,
Mhm.
meaning what we are really feeling deep down, why we are really upset, what we really need, and even understanding ourselves and being able to communicate that. Because here's this, what happens many of the times is we think we need something from our partner.
Mhm.
We think we need them to do this and we need them to do that so we can heal or feel safe.
Right.
And so we tell them we need them to do all of these things, and they do all of these things, and still they're just like, that's still not it. And so at that point, talking about understanding, it's that person, they themselves, I mean, and it's not their fault either. It's not like they're doing it intentionally, but even having the level of understanding of themselves to know exactly what they truly desire, what they require.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how it works. I think that a lot of times too, and this um, is along with what you're saying too, is um, that you fight about the same thing because there's not a resolution to certain things that you argue about. Um, but there is a resolution if you're pursuing yourself as a partner in the relationship. So
Mhm.
often, like what you're really pursuing is trying to get your partner to change. So while you're shaking them, they're like, "Ah, don't shake me," right? So you're accidentally pursuing getting your partner to change and like be different. And that makes the partner actually refuse more, even though you might not be saying the words like, "Hey, I need you to be different." It actually makes them feel less than. So if you say, "You never hug me, you never kiss me, you don't do these things," you're just deleting who they are as a person. You're minimizing who they
Yeah.
are, right?
Mhm.
Instead of recognizing and seeing, because seeing is the issue, right? Like I'm not seeing my partner enough to see like they're struggling to do the things. Like they're still with me. So if they're still with me, they care enough to be here for whatever reason. And now they're struggling to do things that maybe we were able to do before or that they might like to get to. And you're saying you're not good enough to your partner, right? You don't give me enough attention or whatever the scenario is. If that's the case, then by accident, you're focusing on the wrong scenario or whatever other scenario that it is that they're not good at doing. You're trying to fight with them about that. And then that gets split because now that you're fighting with them about that, they're saying that, hey, you're the problem because you're fighting with me about that. And now we're going at each other and we're saying, hey, you need to change. No, you need to change. There's always some context in the argument, but this is the underlying bones of the argument right here. Instead of us stepping into the conversation and saying, look, I know I'm not very good in this moment and I want to be better at X, Y, and Z. Can you work with me on this? Right. And if the other partner can mirror that and say, look, I'm not very good at doing X, Y, and Z. Can you work with me or be patient with me on this? because we're just not good at doing relationships until we get good at it. We've never been in a relationship for this long ever, right? Like that will continue this way. Like I could have been in a 10-year relationship and it ended, and now I'm in a 3-year relationship and it's going to keep going. I don't know what it's like. This is a new one. And so for us to be able to not pursue, I think that the thing that is most damaging to relationships is us trying to get somebody else to do something different for us to be okay. And as long as that's a sentence in our vocabulary or in our conversation, by accident or intentionally, then we're going to stay in the same arguments over and over and over and over again. But as soon as we switch the conversation to like, look, I want to get better in this relationship. And I also want to support you with wherever you're at. That's a game changer, right? But it's so hard to do because we get afraid and we're thinking like, man, it's not going to happen the way we want to. If I be quiet, it will never change. Like, and in some cases, that is, unfortunately, that is true. Both of us aren't pursuing our best, but that would, if I was talking to a couple, I would say like, you both have to pursue your best. Don't leave room for somebody to be able to say you're not working on you. Instead, you be your own accountability partner to say, look, I got to do better in this relationship. Right. And the more that happens, yeah, I feel like we get to spin out of those arguments. So yeah, I think that's a big deal, but it also ties into our theme for today. So our big old theme is for us to be able to really kind of see if we could break the pattern, right? And so I think if we talk about it like in general, and we did start already having conversations about like where it comes from family just to past behaviors, and that was a repeating pattern. But why do we repeat some of the same relationship struggles, would you say, Fit?
No, that is a loaded question right there.
It is.
Which
It is.
one? You
Yeah.
know, there because there's so many,
Mm-hmm.
but failure to recognize your own patterns
Yeah.
and in understanding why you do what you do.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many people that go, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I still got to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm like this, or
Yeah.
they just continue to go along with the failure to understand. But the struggles in the relationship, right? And you're right with what you are struggling for.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to your point, when you have someone, when you have a partner that doesn't suffice to your requirements and you require them to change, and though it may be understandable on the surface, but let's say that your partner has issues of rejection that they don't even understand. They don't even know that they don't even know that they have issues of rejection.
Right.
Okay. And so when they hear, I need you to do better, like, yeah, I mean, that's good, but, well, what's wrong with, yeah, well, when you do that, and so hearing those complaints to them, they're just like, that's a result of me and who I am and my worth. And if this person also, let's say they depend on someone else's perception of them to give them their identity,
Yeah.
I'm able to put a smile on your face that gives me my smile, right? But then they're no longer able to put that smile on their face because I myself am no longer good enough. I myself am not good enough for you, the one person who is supposed to accept me.
Mm-hmm.
What feels better than being accepted? What feels better than being accepted who you are and how you are? Hey, everything's all right. You don't need to change anything. No,
Mm-hmm.
you're perfectly fine how you are. Don't you let anybody tell you you need to change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. See you later. Right. And just like someone like that, thank
Yeah.
you. Yes. All right. Well, all right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so, going back to relationship struggles. Okay. So here's one tip I have for you couples watching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sit down. Not a lot of couples do this. Sit down and go, you know what? We're going to have a conversation Thursday night, 8 p.m. And the conversation, this is the title for the, like, get organized is what I'm saying. This is going to be the title for the conversation. What we're going to do about our communication. I'm going to give you my plan. You're going to give you your plan. We're going to talk about a plan and we're going to agree upon the plan at the end. And we're not going to end that conversation until we agree on a plan.
Mhm.
And then you do your part and I'll do my part. Or you go, okay, you know what? Write down three things that you need from me, three exact things. Don't be general. I need you to be specific. I need to know what you need from me specifically and how you need it.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do the same for you, you do the same for me. We're gonna have three things that we need to change, that what you're gonna do and what I'm gonna do. For example, the new thing that we're gonna do, you know, when you shut down, when I ask you a question and you shut down, instead, what I think, just let me know, hey, give me 10 minutes. I'm going to cool off. We'll speak after that instead of storming off.
Mhm.
And what I'm going to do is, instead of going, hey, tell me, hey, tell me, hey, tell me, I'm going to go, okay, you know what? Thank you for letting me know what's going on. I'll see you in 10 minutes. And
Right.
over there by the fireplace, that's going to be the area that we speak, right? Like, and I'm just making that up, obviously,
Right.
right now.
Right.
But getting organized and having some kind of structure to the strategy, to how you're going about it. So it's the failure again to recognize the patterns and again break those cycles, those relationship struggles, because there is no plan moving forward. There's no exact plan. We're also generalized.
Mhm.
The problem is we say, I need you to communicate with me. I need you to communicate with me. I need you to tell me what's going on. I need you to talk to me more.
Yeah.
All right. I need you to open up. And then the partner goes, okay. And they go, this is my idea of what I believe you need from me. And so I'm going to start giving to you what you just told me you need from me in my way of how I think you need it.
Mhm.
And so they start trying to do that. And then the other partner goes, no, you're still not opening up. I told you you need to open up. And the other partner goes, I am opening up. I laugh because this is so common.
Yeah.
And the reason why this is because they don't get on the same, they're not specific enough.
Mhm.
It's not enough to go, this is what I need from you, but how do I need it? And then to even go deeper, how am I going to help you give to me what I require or what's going to help? How can I best support you do that? How can you do right? So they can go on a rabbit hole
Yeah.
forever, but strategy to the madness, there can't, it's already complicated enough. And so going and simplifying it as much as you can, specific yet simple, is the best strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a huge deal. And there's reasons I feel like that people continue to do it, and I think it's important, um, for everybody to understand that these things they're not things we're choosing. You know, um, people use old things like we were talking about earlier, Fit, about like family experiences. They're using that sometimes and bringing it in a relationship, even previous relationships. Like there's an expectation sometimes that a person will interact the same kind of way that their previous relationship did, and so you get stuck in those kinds of patterns, and you have to be aware of that in order to break these patterns. The other thing is we have like when people fly an airplane, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but when an airplane is flown, like a jet, if we're going from here to New York, they don't just like say, "Hey, how do I get to New York?" and drive it kind of like we do in a car. Instead, they put their target in to, "Hey, we're going to New York," and it literally is an autopilot, right? That happens, and in that autopilot, no matter whether you go up and down, it still keeps you on the path to New York. And we have that same kind of scenario set in our mental, emotional, and relationship structure, which is like, let's say that the previous relationships has always been trouble because of jealousy. So you're headed to that target, and no matter whether you go up or down or whatever it is, you're headed towards that target. And the more that we can recognize that sometimes we have autopilot and we are going to create the same thing in this relationship that we just did in our previous whatever amount of relationships, just because we have that autopilot. And that autopilot, or that target area sometimes isn't what we initially got to in a relationship. We might have just watched that growing up and know that's kind of where we're headed. And so it's so important for us to recognize that we get stuck too because we have our own set of autopilots. We even find people in our life, or we'll find somebody who could have a relationship with us that can participate so that it can end that way, right? And I think it's difficult, and to me, for us just to be a way for us just to be able to acknowledge it initially is a big deal. And we'll talk about awareness later on, but it's so common for us to be able to see those things. And I think the more we are aware of it, it does definitely give us an out for that scenario. Why do you think that awareness is harder than actually doing the change? Because I feel like once people are aware, they can start getting to doing the change, but sometimes people just aren't even aware. Why do you think that's so difficult?
Why they aren't aware a lot of the times is because they fail to reflect
Hmm. Hmm.
intentionally.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a whole lot of reflecting,
Hmm.
but again, it's just organized confusion.
Yeah.
And we sit there and we just think about the problem and we think about all of these hypothetical scenarios to unfold because of our anxiety and our worries. And so we don't even answer our own questions.
Hmm.
Like that, we're having a conversation anyway with ourselves. We
Hmm.
might as well answer our own questions,
Hmm.
but again, in how we answer our questions.
Yeah.
Why did I do that? Well, because I'm doing. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
You know what's interesting is when I begin to reflect on myself, is
Hmm.
I begin to when I would get caught cheating, and like this is before before I knew anything about anything,
Hmm.
and my partner would want to know like why, like, and I didn't know.
Hmm.
And so what I did was I started researching to come up with an explanation
Hmm.
and not really to like actually change,
Right.
right? In learning those and just looking into that and researching it. And then even just learning that and saying that about myself, raising awareness on that for it's like that forced me to connect those dots,
Hmm.
you know. And so and then after a while, because repeat offender, cheating a lot,
Hmm.
so and in a different relationship, have to explain myself again, and then going down that path. And then after a while, the awareness becomes so strong as to where you're just like, what you're doing in those moments. You're aware of why you do what you do. And
Hmm.
here's a big part of knowing the why and why it's so important, because you cannot stop what you do not see coming.
Right.
When you know why you do what you do, there you realize there's another option. You realize what that other option is and how to enforce that option,
Hmm.
right? But getting a little sidetracked here, uh, the question being,
Yeah, about awareness and why is it so difficult?
why is it so difficult to what? What was the last part of it?
Yeah, why is it so difficult to be aware? I mean, like so often, I think if people can be aware, they can do the change. but I always feel like they're
Mhm.
missing the awareness.
Right.
And for me, and even as you're describing it, like it reminds me that like um our comfort is in avoiding the pain, and us being aware means that we have to deal, and so inherently I think we kind of know and we understand that, like, man, if I go to try to figure things out and become aware of what's going on, the pain is too much. It's like that monster in the closet scenario that I talked to you
Yeah.
about. Um, the
Yeah.
more that the more that I build up this monster about what's behind that wall, my awareness is something that I kind of want to stay away from. But if I ever was willing to become more aware, I could see what the things actually are, and there's freedom on the other side. And I think a lot of us don't recognize that fast enough. Is on the other side of awareness is not more scary, and if it is more scary, it comes with freedom because you're not trapped in not knowing, right? And I think being trapped in not knowing is one of the worst things that we can actually be a part of.
Right.
And so I think it's a huge deal for us to just be able to know that, like, awareness is probably like, one of the things that we're gonna have to do in order for us to get to a lot of places in life is you have to start there. You have to be able to acknowledge, and we've kind of gone through a couple of things about um, just about like how we repeat the same kind of struggles and the reason that it happens. But you, as a couple, or people who are watching, you got to be able to figure out, or as an individual, like, what is really going on with me? Like, why, me just knowing the why or the understanding what's going on is going to be a huge deal. Okay. So I want to bring some juice. I feel like we got to kind of like
Uh,
I feel like we got to kind of get it going here. So I got a little game for you actually. I'm gonna
oh,
go
I
down.
like games. Let's
Yeah, yeah.
play.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So here we go. Um, this game is called. We're gonna call it red flag or real talk. Okay.
Okay.
So
All right.
here's how it works. If it's a red flag, that means like it's really unhealthy. And real talk means like it's a normal issue that can be worked through. All right. So um I'll throw out the first one, and then and people could chime in too if they're on or watching, they can type in the chat what they think. All right, so here's the first one. Your partner keeps scrolling on their phone while you're talking. Is that a red flag or a real talk?
I mean, that's real talk, I believe. I mean, it can be both.
Depends on when you met them. If you just met them and it's your dinner date, that's a red flag.
Mhm. Well,
But it,
here's this thing too.
yeah, give it to me.
Yeah, because I mean, because it could be both,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, we're living in a time where phone addiction is real,
Mhm. Mhm.
okay? And people not being able to be away from their phone or off their phone, and a lot of the times we're overthinkers. Anxiety is the leading mental disorder, right? Uh,
Mm.
and so having that where we need our phone or we need something to secure us.
Mm.
And so that, and then also there's this too. I mean, even when we're on a date, is when we're somebody and it's a first date, we're a little nervous and we're trying to act cool, a little nonchalant, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, right. And so that could be going on as well.
Yeah.
But when it gets to a point, right, where you can sense something's going on here. And
Mm.
so it's interesting because, like, for me, what I would do on a first date, and this is after I started studying, female psychology, seduction, attraction, dating, just relationships, everything like that. Um, when I would see a girl on her phone on our date, okay, if she's sending a couple texts here, whatever, right?
Right.
But then if it was continual and I was, having a conversation with her and she was still continuing, and I'd be like, is there somewhere you need to be?
Mhm.
Is there something you need to do? There's somewhere you need to go? I wouldn't be like all, aggressive with it, but I would ask, one of those questions,
Right.
and let her know uh that I know that I see what's going on here, right? And then so if she would say no, right, based on her answer, then I'll go, okay, and then I'll be then I would practice being very direct with her and see if she could handle direct communication,
Mhm.
right? So in response to, if I were to see a red flag, I would then do another test to see if this red flag is a real
Is this
legitimate
a
red
red
flag or
flag
is
or
this
just
real talk.
real talk? Yeah, I like that strategy,
you know
actually. I don't date anymore, but if I was, I
you
would.
know
So for everybody you just got, if you are dating or looking for a relationship, like that is a good strategy to figure out, is that a red flag or is that real talk? All right, so they forget important dates but always apologize sincerely. I'm going
Say
with
that
real.
again.
They forget important dates but always apologize sincerely. I'm going with real talk.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So give the real talk on that one. I want to hear that one.
Yeah. Well, for me, like it's just a simple, hey, dates are important to me. And hopefully one day you can come around to feeling the same way about the dates that I feel the same around too. Right. That's my
Mm,
simple real talk. I live on a premise, or I feel in my heart that in relationships, really don't need somebody to do something different for me to be okay. It's up to me to be doing something different. So what I would do if dates were important to me is I would definitely be the person to celebrate those dates and make them super important, right? And I
yeah.
think when somebody cares about you, and they're working on themselves, eventually they come around to figuring out like what's important to you and can I help serve you better. That always becomes the question whenever we're pulling towards a higher version of ourselves. Um,
Mhm,
and so we don't need to force somebody into action, right? So it's real talk. I don't think it's a red flag scenario.
mhm.
All right, third one. You argue about money every single month. Red flag or real talk?
I mean, all of these can be both.
What are
you
you going?
know,
You could only choose one. Let's say you could only choose one.
if if
You want me to give it to you
we're
again?
arguing about, mhm.
Money every single month.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be in that situation.
That's a red flag. That's a red
Um,
flag.
and that's what we got Ina coming up in here saying in the chat, saying it can be both. It depends on the situation.
Right.
Therapy with Griselda and Thomas says real talk, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, like it's circumstantial.
Mhm,
So what may be important to you may not be important to me. What
mhm.
may be of value to you may not be of value to me. And
Yeah.
so it's just a matter of understanding, what's important and what's, a value of your partner, and meeting to them of their requirements.
Mhm.
Um, but
It depends on where
yeah,
you're at in your
it's
relationship too, Fit. You know what I mean? Because
what's
like depending on where you are in your relationship, if you're a couple that's been together for 20 years and this is happening
right.
every month, like I don't know if it's a
So
divorce worthy scenario, but you got to do some work at some point in time.
So that is where I believe subconscious blocks come into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
So
is there
we're
is
probably
some
dealing with
there
a
is a
bigger problem, right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There
So
is a reason why we do everything. Even when we sit there and stare at the wall, it's for a reason.
for a reason. So true.
Yeah.
So true. Even the person clapping butterflies, is there is a reason, and not everybody has to understand it. All right, next one. They check in with you often about where you are.
They check in with you often about where you are.
You are not where they are, where you are.
Okay. So wait a minute. So they're telling you like if I'm texting you, I'm telling you where I'm at, or I'm texting you wondering where you're at.
Yeah. Hey, where you at? Hey, where you
Okay.
at?
Yeah. So that's a big red flag.
Is it a red flag?
But it is it again, it can be it can be both.
You could only answer one. That's the fun of it. You got to
Dang
choose
it, man.
one.
This is a
You can't
I
say
like this
both. There's
game.
no. It's either red flag. It's either red flag or real talk. It's not both. I do feel like you can move the needle based on like where it's at in the relationship.
I say it's a red flag then. And this is what I'll say. It's a red
Okay.
flag
Okay.
because that needs to be addressed. That can't just continue on and me feel like I can expect to meet your expectations
Hmm.
by letting you know where I'm at every single minute you want it because it's never going to be enough.
Yeah.
And there nobody's perfect, right? Um and so,
Red flag.
you know, here's the thing. Why is that happening? Are we doing something about that? Because you're absolutely right. It's a bigger issue. And so, um, is it a trust issue going on here? Why is that happening? Is there a trust issue going on here?
Hmm.
Why is there a trust issue? What are we doing about it? Let's do something about it instead of continuing to play this. Where are you? Okay, so instead of going doing that, why is it you feel the need to know exactly where I'm at or these kinds of things, right?
Hmm.
And for my audience, a lot of the times they're struggling with trust issues. They've already went through infidelity and they're going through the recovery process. But in relationships where there's not even any betrayal or anything like that, and those kinds of things are already going on, and they can happen very subtly, but grow very slowly over time, like a plant,
Yeah.
as the behaviors become more increasingly extreme over time and
Hmm.
we don't notice because we do these little things and then when we don't meet our partner's expectation it turns into this big old fight. We fight about it and vow to do different, but then it happens again because we're again, remember, mowing the weed
Hmm.
at the surface,
Yeah.
right? And so we're not really addressing the real problem, the root issue,
Hmm.
which is why we feel the need to know, or have this attachment or whatever it is.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna answer because I would say both too. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm done with this game. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
I'm going home. No, but I feel like in some scenarios, like I think there's couples where they would prefer each other to ask and care about where they're at. You know what I mean? But if it gets and the way that sentence is worded is kind of tricky too. They check in with you about where you are. The check in seems kind of passive. It's not like they're stalking you or anything, but
Right.
yeah, it does
And I
depend.
think it's just more of the intention behind it too, because it's kind of like it could be just casual, like, hey, well, where you at? I'm not asking because like I'm insecure and I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
think you're doing something. I'm just, hey, where you at?
You know
What's
I care
going on?
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But you already said red flag. You
It's
got we got all kinds of people getting divorces because we it could be
now
both,
now
right?
now I'm triggered. Now I feel like you manipulated me, which has triggered an old belief that people are not trustworthy
They're
and
not.
they'll only be.
They only could get. They're gonna give you red flags everywhere. Yellow flag for that. Actually, we actually need to have that in here, like throwing penalties.
Hey, that's a good idea. I like
All
that.
right, last one. They explode in anger, but always say it's just stress. This is absolutely a red flag for me. I don't even have like a both type scenario for that one.
Right.
You could do real talk if you want to, but I feel like we have to be responsible for ourselves in these situations, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be.
It's
I mean,
the
you might have a different take on it. I'm okay with that, but I just feel like if you're exploding in anger and then just blame it on stress, like I feel like that's unfair.
yeah, because it's like, okay, yeah, stress may have given you the opportunity to be stressed and, you know,
Hmm.
take your anger out on whoever or however,
Yeah,
right? But it is the act of doing something about it. Are
yeah,
you doing something about it? And not just going, well, you know how I get sometimes. Yeah, I try. It's just you're finding an excuse for it. And yeah, we're not perfect and change does
hmm,
take time.
yeah.
but making that progress and dedicating yourself to it, making it a priority to go, hey, I don't like when I get angry and I tell you those things, and I'm going to do something about it. I'm
Mhm.
going to improve about it. And it shouldn't be your partner telling you that you need to do something about your anger because it hurts me.
Yeah.
It's a matter of recognizing that you are hurting your partner because of your inability to control your anger, not because of stress,
Mhm.
but because of your inability to be resourceful,
Yeah.
right?
I like that because of your inability to be resourceful. Like that's a huge concept. I feel like that people are often lacking, and then they do blame it on the thing, like whatever it came from, right, for their response, which is super unfair to everybody around them. But it's really unfair is to themselves. So I think that's a huge deal for people to be able to be a little bit resourceful. Speaking of resourceful, we actually have. Let's see what we should give them right now. Um, should we give them a word of the week? Let's give them a word of the week real quick, and then after that, we're gonna go with being able to look at some of the other things that we got here. So, word of the week. I will go with. We actually talked about awareness. Why don't we do awareness? I feel like
Okay.
that's a really good word of the week for everybody to be able to have this week, for them just to be able to focus in and say, okay, what do I need to really be able to see? And you guys, we really want you guys to get interactive and be able to watch these videos and grow what you're doing. Like we've had a discussion and try to lay out the full. We actually got a kind of an announcement at the end of the towards the end of the show that we'll give. What we're coming up on that we'll let you guys know. But we're really trying to stack your wins here and trying to get you guys to be at a different spot. And so for us, like you being able to work on something this week is going to be a huge deal. And so part of us also, I mean, we're saying word of the week is awareness. So if you can grow that, I think that'll be a huge deal. But also, like, what would be your weekly reset? And so let's kind of talk about that a little bit. And this we transitioned well from the last thing fit because you started talking about people being able to be resourceful themselves. And so if you're to do a weekly reset, what are the things that you would have to do in order for you to be able um, to get to a different spot? And we started talking about this at the top of the show because we said if you are going to review everything that you've been through, that's super useful. Like Fit, your question to me early on was like, what is what's the reason that people, even in family stuff, keep repeating things? Like why does that happen? Well, if we don't know this, going back to our word of the week, which is awareness, if we don't understand that, we're gonna be in a hard spot constantly, right? So can we get to a place where we can say like, look, where have I seen these things before, and really review what's going on? What are the messages? Fit, I like how you talk about how we're always having that self-talk, right? We're always having a conversation with ourselves. So what is that conversation on with yourself? What's the autopilot about that conversation? Um, and and then how do we start rewiring that conversation? A lot of us can review this and have more conversation. If you guys already have a therapist or a coach to be able to help you with, it's super useful for you to be able to dissect, hey, these are the conversations that I have, and I know it's taking me to this endpoint. And if you don't have a therapist, I think a lot of times it's useful for us to be able to journal and to be able to explore a little bit more. I don't think there's one thing that I haven't journaled about that didn't grow me for myself. And so I know if you were to journal something, you'd be surprised how you could look back in your journal and be like, man, I started writing about that, and that's not even a thing anymore for me. And so the more that you are able to really kind of look at something, I think that it helps you to reset what's going on inside of your relationship. If you know that you have some of the same struggles over and over again, let's start working on it instead of going to somebody else. And I think that's where the mishap is we constantly go to our partner and be like, you're never changing, you don't change, you won't change, it's not getting any better, I just need to get a divorce. But then you go to your next partner and it's good at first, but then you say the same things, you don't change, you're not changing, it's not getting better, and then you get a divorce, right? And then you go to the next one, it's going to happen the same way. So when are you the problem? In fact, there's a Hemingway quote that I love that says, like, he says, it's your fault if you're lucky, which means that we want to be able to find things that are our faults in our lives. Because if it's my fault, I can change it. If it's not my fault, I could never change it. And so often it's so difficult for us to accept blame or to say it's my fault because of you talked about this earlier, Fit, the shame that goes on, or all the not feeling good about ourselves. But you guys, like, that vulnerability spot is the place of growth and opportunity to be able to be different. And even if you can't be vulnerable with people outside of you, be vulnerable with yourself on the inside and start seeing the things that we're not good at so we can get better at the things we're not good at on the inside, so that other people on the outside can have a better interaction with us. The more that we can look at those things and really kind of dissect it, I think it gives you a chance to just reset your week and give yourself a different kind of focus. Um, Fit, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any other things that you wanted to add into that as
I
far as?
do,
Mhm.
but time is of the essence.
Yeah, it is. It
Uh,
is. I love that. I love that. Okay. So
yep.
yeah. Yeah, and in fact, you guys, if you guys want more and you want to go deeper, we have more time to be able to go deeper for you. And what we just added over the weekend is for you to be able to go deeper with us in a monthly meetup that we're adding. And so the way that it'll work is we'll work here every Monday night to be able to bring you as much information we can. But then if you want to go deeper with us on some of these questions and conversations, and you want us to help walk you through your relationship experience, and or just to get better yourself inside of a relationship or get ready for a relationship, um, we are planning to walk you through in the next 6 months in our monthly meetups all the things that are needed to be able to do that, right? And so we've basically combined the idea of, like, what works in life from a psychological standpoint. How do we get the mental emotional in a place that's ready to go and can help me to do my relationships better? And so we've put that together, and have set it up so that you can meet up with both of us, spend a little bit more time, and get that part where Fit just said, I have more, but time is of the essence. And so we have that for you guys, and we'll make sure that we get a link um, to go inside of our public information here. So it'll be in our social media. I think we have on Instagram, and we're on YouTube as well. So um, yeah, so that's coming up for you guys, and that, I think along with this gift here, it would be a cool opportunity for you to be able to join us and spend more intimate time with us. Right. Anything to add with that, Fit?
Um, yeah, I'm very excited and looking forward to it. We have some very special stuff planned that's
Mhm.
very, very targeted and directed to everything that we discuss. And this, when I'm talking about discovery and awareness, and how exactly do we break those cycles? How
Right.
can we identify ourselves and learn to get ourselves to a place mentally, physically, and emotionally where we can actually truly change and experience positive changes in our life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm very excited for that. But my final word would for tonight would just be nice.
Hmm.
You know, you know, uh, be nice,
Hmm.
right, to yourself.
First.
So we want to talk about awareness for this week,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Be
Mhm.
aware of how you treat yourself and the things you tell yourself, the things you say about yourself, the things you say about yourself to others.
Mhm.
And I want you to do this. I want you to imagine that there is a little child, 5-year-old version of you with you at all times, living inside of you, right? And I want you to imagine all of those harsh things that you are saying to yourself now as a grown adult. You are saying them to the 5-year-old version of you. Would you say those things? Would you tell that to the 5-year-old you? No, you wouldn't. So, what I'd welcome you to do is the idea that we are just grown children. There is a 5-year-old version of us on the inside, emotionally, mentally, that is scared, that is hurt, that is angry, that feels helpless, that feels powerless, that never healed. And we just grew a bigger body. We just grew more responsibilities. But that child in us needs nurturing, not needs to be beat up and put down and treated harshly. So become aware of how you treat yourself this week in realizing that you're only treating the little child in you. Because when we don't heal our inner child, that inner child lives within us. And for we only simply grow bigger bodies with more responsibilities. That's
Yeah,
my piece for tonight. Isaac?
man. I mean, we should just leave on that. Right. That's something for you guys to take home with you already. And I think you guys could always rewind the tapes. I like saying it that way, rewind the tapes and hone in on what it is that you need to do. I think we dropped enough juice tonight. You guys enjoy your evening, enjoy your families, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
How you guys?